On the fateful evening of March 17, 2008, the peaceful town of Arboga, Sweden, became the setting for a horrific crime that would send shockwaves through the entire nation. Emma Janstig was at home, engaged in an online conversation with her sister Ida, while her children Max, aged 3, and Saga, just 18 months old, played nearby. During their chat about the children's daily routines, Emma suddenly ceased responding to messages. Ida found this abrupt silence concerning, as it was quite unlike her sister's usual behavior. While Ida tried to make sense of her sister's unexpected silence, Torgny Hellberg, Emma's boyfriend, was returning home after a long day at work. As he opened the door, he anticipated the usual warm welcome from the children, but their absence filled him with an immediate sense of unease. As Torgny made his way through the house, his growing apprehension turned to absolute horror when he discovered Emma and her children lying grievously wounded. In complete panic, Torgny immediately contacted emergency services. Overwhelmed with emotion, he could barely articulate what he had found, his voice breaking with sobs as he attempted to describe the incomprehensible scene before him. Emergency responders arrived promptly and encountered a devastating tableau. Emma lay unconscious near the entrance, while her 2 children, still clinging to life but with fatal injuries, were found nearby. Roland Janstig, Emma's mother, arrived shortly after, witnessing her daughter being rushed to the hospital in critical condition. Law enforcement launched their investigation immediately, working to understand who could perpetrate such a heinous act. Initially, they focused on those closest to the family, including Emma's former husband, Nicholas Janstig, and even Torgny himself. However, attention quickly shifted to Christine Schürrer, Torgny's former girlfriend. Driven by jealousy and obsession, Christine had exhibited troubling behavior patterns in the past. Mounting evidence suggested she had meticulously planned the attack, transforming her personal resentment into one of Sweden's most shocking criminal cases. Christine Schürrer, born on June 30, 1976 in Hanover, Germany, gained notoriety following her conviction for double homicide in Sweden in 2008. Her history prior to the crime revealed a pattern of instability documented by both German and Swedish authorities. Educational records indicated that Schürrer completed her basic education in Germany with strong academic performance. During her youth, she broadened her horizons through an exchange program in the United States, studying in Oklahoma and temporarily residing in Manhattan. Upon returning to Germany, she devoted 6 years to studying history at a higher education institution. Despite her solid academic foundation, official documents showed that Schürrer never maintained long-term employment. Her professional history revealed stints across various European countries, primarily working in hostels. Immigration records confirmed multiple entries and exits across different continental countries, demonstrating a pattern of geographic instability. This instability was also reflected in her mental health. Prior to 2008, Schürrer had been hospitalized 3 times for suicide attempts. One instance resulted in a 3-week stay at a psychiatric facility in Germany. Medical reports from that period indicated emotional instability, though without any definitive diagnosis of specific conditions. The roots of her instability traced back to her youth. Family records revealed that her parents separated when she was 11 years old. Following the separation, documents indicated minimal contact with her father. Subsequent police reports disclosed that she maintained solitary habits and struggled to sustain stable interpersonal relationships. In August 2006, Christine Schürrer, then 31 years old, was employed at a hostel on the Greek island of Crete. With a history of international travel, including her exchange program in the United States and passages through various European countries, she maintained her pattern of temporary employment in different locations. Torgny Hellberg, a 26-year-old Swedish resident of Arboga, arrived at the hostel for a week's vacation. Their initial encounter occurred during breakfast the day after his arrival. They discovered shared interests in history, music, and travel, which drew the couple together during Torgny's stay. Following the period in Crete, they maintained contact through emails. In November of the same year, Christine traveled to Arboga to visit Torgny. They spent a week together and planned a skiing trip for New Year's. However, during this visit, Torgny realized that everyday reality differed significantly from their romance in Crete. The differences became evident. Christine maintained an itinerant lifestyle, while Torgny sought stability and wished to settle down. At the time of their meeting in Crete, according to Torgny's later police statements, Christine presented herself as a calm and intelligent person, showing no signs of the obsessive behavior she would develop in subsequent years. This encounter in Crete, which appeared to be just another holiday romance, would eventually become the beginning of a sequence of events culminating in one of the most impactful criminal cases in recent Swedish history. The relationship between Christine Schürrer and Torgny Hellberg evolved beyond their Cretan encounter when, in November 2006, Christine traveled to Arboga, Sweden, for a week-long visit. The experience of daily life, however, proved vastly different from their Greek romance, revealing significant incompatibilities between the couple. In January 2007, Torgny decided to end the relationship through a text message, communicating that it was over and he no longer wished to see her. Christine's reaction was immediate and disproportionate. She began bombarding Torgny with phone calls and letters, blaming him for her problems. In March 2007, Christine returned to Sweden and made her first suicide attempt, which Torgny interpreted as a maneuver to gain his attention. Moved by compassion, he temporarily took her in, even arranging her return to Germany. The following day, Torgny drove her to Stockholm Arlanda Airport for what he hoped would be a final farewell. German friends of Christine had agreed to meet her at Hanover Airport. However, she failed to appear at the arranged location, causing concern. It was only after this suicide attempt that Christine returned to Germany, where she remained hospitalized in a psychiatric facility for 3 weeks. Determined to stay close, Christine relocated to Stockholm in the summer of 2007, renting a room with a Swedish woman. During this period, she made her third suicide attempt. In January 2008, she devised a new strategy to maintain contact with Torgny, sending a letter claiming she had given birth to his child. In the correspondence, Christine claimed that the child had been born in September 2006 and had been given up for adoption due to her precarious mental health. She alleged that she was revealing this information because the child might suffer from a hereditary blood condition. Torgny, already in a relationship with Emma Janestig, shared the letter with his new partner. It was Emma who first suspected that the child's story might be fabricated. When questioned about the hospital where the baby was supposedly born, Christine responded only with an email from an alleged adoptive father, which was later discovered to be fictitious. Christine Schürrer's obsessive trajectory began to manifest systematically following her move to Stockholm. Sharing accommodation with a Swedish woman, she established a base that allowed her to constantly monitor her former boyfriend's life. Investigators discovered that from this address, Christine initiated a disturbing pattern of stalking behavior. The digital evidence proved particularly alarming. Christine accessed Torgny Hellberg's personal blog 230 times, a number demonstrating almost daily surveillance of his activities. Through this blog, she monitored not only Torgny's posts about his daily life, but also began collecting information about his new family. Christine's computer, later seized by police, revealed a disturbing history of internet searches. She had created organized folders containing downloaded photographs of the family, including images of their residence. The searches weren't limited to mere curiosity. Christine methodically researched criminal techniques, including methods for removing evidence from crime scenes, cleaning bloodstains, and ways to obliterate footprints. The obsession manifested in the physical world as well. In her apartment, police found notebooks with meticulous notations. Entire pages were dedicated to Emma and Torgny's address in Arboga, with details about the exact location and possible access routes. Her personal notes from this period revealed an increasing fixation with the lost relationship, mixing declarations of continued love with signs of resentment. The investigation proved that Christine conducted at least 3 reconnaissance trips to Arboga in the week preceding the crime. Railway station records documented her presence on March 12th and 14th. On each of these occasions, she purchased tickets with cash in an apparent attempt to complicate her tracking. Security cameras at the station recorded a person dressed in dark clothing, later identified as Christine, at times corresponding to the ticket purchases. A crucial element discovered during the investigations was the disappearance of a hammer from the toolbox in Christine's shared apartment. Her roommate, in her police statement, confirmed noticing the tool's absence in March, before the fateful events. This detail gained significant relevance considering Christine's searches about cleaning criminal evidence. Investigators discovered that Christine had developed an elaborate surveillance system. Beyond online monitoring, she began conducting physical reconnaissance of the area. Witnesses reported seeing a person matching her characteristics observing the house at different times. One specific neighbor confirmed spotting someone dressed in dark clothing, compatible with Christine's description, near the residence's garage at 7:10 in the evening of the crime. The depth of the obsession became even more evident in the searches conducted on her computer. Christine had extensively researched Emma Jaenstig's life, seeking personal information, routines, and details about the children. She created spreadsheets with the family's schedules and movements, demonstrating a level of meticulous planning. While Christine Schürrer developed her elaborate surveillance system in Stockholm, her targets maintained a domestic routine in Arboga, completely unaware of the threat forming against them. The family she obsessively monitored through blogs and research had a history that began long before they entered her sights. Emma Jaenstig, born on February 16, 1985 in Stockholm, married at 19 to Nicholas, her high school boyfriend. Their first child, Max, arrived soon after, followed by Saga 18 months later. The little girl was born with a special condition requiring extraordinary care, necessitating tube feeding due to her inability to ingest solid foods. The young marriage couldn't withstand the pressures. The challenges of managing an early family, combined with Saga's special care requirements, led to separation. The initial period was turbulent, with Emma even filing a police complaint against Nicholas. It was during this period of adaptation to single motherhood that Emma met Torgny Hellberg through online conversations. The relationship developed naturally, and Torgny soon demonstrated not only interest in Emma but also strong affection for Max and Saga. His presence brought a new balance to the family, especially in helping with Saga's special care needs. Over time, the relationship between Emma and Nicholas also evolved into a mature bi-weekly visitation arrangement, allowing the children to maintain regular contact with their biological father. Torgny supported this arrangement, understanding the importance of the bond between the children and their father. In January 2008, Emma, Torgny, and the children moved to a new house in Arboga, specially chosen to meet the family's needs. Max, at 3 years old, showed a vibrant personality, while Saga, despite her limitations, was developing positively under everyone's dedicated care. Emma developed a meticulous routine to manage childcare, especially Saga's medical needs. She found support through social networks, maintaining frequent contact with her sister Ida through instant messaging. Torgny, even during work, maintained constant contact through messages, showing genuine concern for everyone's well-being. The family established themselves well in the Arboga community, creating a local support network. The children were known in the neighborhood, and neighbors, aware of Saga's special needs, offered support when necessary. Torgny's professional stability and Nicholas's regular contribution helped maintain the financial balance needed for ongoing medical care. What seemed to be a story of successful adaptation and overcoming challenges was, unbeknownst to them, under constant surveillance. Every aspect of this carefully constructed life was being observed by Christine Schürrer, who knew everything from meal times to the children's sleep routines. Monday, March 17, 2008, began as an apparently normal day in Arboga. Torgny Hellberg left early for work, while Emma stayed home with Max, aged 3, and Saga, aged 18 months. During the morning, Emma took the children shopping and, upon returning, prepared lunch for the family. In the afternoon, the children settled in the living room to watch cartoons on television. Emma, following her usual routine, sat at the computer to chat online with her sister Ida. The clock marked 7:07 in the evening when Emma sent her last message. Communication records document that Emma abruptly disappeared from the online conversation, something unusual in her behavior. Her sister Ida noticed the sudden absence, but initially suspected nothing serious, knowing the demands of routines with young children. At 7:17, Torgny arrived home earlier than expected. He had informed he would return around 7:30. As he approached the residence, he noticed something unusual. The front door was unlocked. Upon entering, he encountered a scene that would forever change his life. The hallway was in complete chaos. Clothes were scattered everywhere, and a chair was overturned. Amidst the disorder, Torgny spotted 3 bodies on the floor. Emma had fallen near the entrance, with severe head injuries. Her hair was blackened by blood flowing from multiple cranial lesions. A bit further ahead lay Max and Saga, also with serious head injuries. In a state of shock, at 7:20, Torgny made a desperate call to emergency services. The operator who answered reported hearing a man screaming in despair and, in the background, a weak female moan. The call was described as confused and desperate, with Torgny barely able to explain what he had found. Paramedics arrived quickly at the scene. The first responder to enter the house described finding an adult fallen to the left of the entrance door and, further ahead, 2 children. The boy was still breathing when attended to, as was the girl, but both were in extremely critical condition. The initial scene analysis indicated that the attack had occurred within a very short interval between 13 and 10 minutes, considering the time of Emma's last message, 7:07, and Torgny's arrival, 7:17. The assailant had used a blunt object, later identified as a hammer, striking with extreme violence. Emma presented 14 blows to the head region, with deep and extensive injuries. The children were also attacked with similar brutality, focusing mainly on the cranial region. The violence of the blows and the number of impacts indicated an attack charged with emotion and fury. The victims were transported in separate ambulances, the children to one hospital and Emma to another. During the journey to the hospital, through the radio of the vehicle transporting Torgny and Emma's mother, who had arrived at the scene, they received the devastating news. Max and Saga had not survived their injuries. Emma, in critical condition, was immediately taken to surgery and placed in an induced coma due to the severity of her injuries. Doctors were uncertain if she would survive the traumas suffered. She presented severe internal bleeding resulting from multiple blows to the head. The crime scene revealed the brutality of the attack. There were blood splatters across various parts of the hallway, and the pattern of the stains indicated that the violence had been extreme. Police found evidence that the attacker had first struck Emma when she opened the door, and then turned against the children, who likely witnessed the beginning of the aggression. The timing of the crime, chosen close to Torgny's usual return from work, suggested meticulous planning. The attacker apparently knew the family's routine and chose a moment when Emma would be alone with the children, but close to the time when the crime would be discovered. The investigation of the case that shook Arboga began immediately after the discovery of the crime scene by Torgny Hellberg, who found Emma Janestig severely injured and her children, Max and Saga, with fatal injuries. Police were activated and began forensic work at the site, collecting evidence such as bloodstains, footprints, and other traces left by the aggressor. The scene presented signs of extreme brutality, indicating the use of a hammer as the murder weapon, although this was not present at the location. Authorities initially investigated people close to the victims, following common protocol in domestic violence cases. Torgny, Emma's boyfriend, was interrogated due to his connection with the family and being the first to find the victims. However, his alibi, the absence of evidence against him, and his state of shock were decisive in ruling him out as a suspect. Subsequently, Emma's ex-husband, Nicholas Janestig, was also investigated. Despite their separation history, Nicholas had a robust alibi and, after 24 hours of interrogation, was released, eliminating him from suspicion. The investigation took a new turn with the account of Emma's friend, who mentioned Christine Schürrer's strange behavior, Torgny's ex-girlfriend. Investigators began examining Christine's history and discovered that she had conducted online searches about crimes, murder scenes, and methods of cleaning evidence. Additionally, Christine's cell phone geolocation records showed she was in Arboga on the night of the crime. This evidence was corroborated by train tickets purchased in cash, coinciding with her journey to the city. Security cameras captured images of Christine at Arboga's railway station on the day of the crime. Local witness reports also confirmed the presence of a woman with characteristics matching Christine near the victim's house. During a search of her apartment, police found photos of Emma and Torgny's family, as well as their residence address, evidencing meticulous planning. Another crucial point was the disappearance of a hammer from a toolbox where Christine lived. This object was identified as the probable murder weapon. Footprints found at the scene were also compatible with footwear associated with Christine, reinforcing the connection between her and the events that occurred. Investigators worked to reconstruct Christine's steps before, during, and after the crime. They identified that she had traveled to Arboga with the clear objective of confronting Emma, driven by jealousy and obsession. The sequence of evidence, digital, physical, and testimonial, clearly pointed to Christine Schürrer as the primary suspect, leading to formal charges against her. Christine Schürrer was located and detained a few days after the crime, on March 22, 2008, while in Germany. After being identified as the main suspect based on a combination of forensic evidence, testimonies, and travel records, Christine attempted to stay out of Swedish authorities' reach, but her photo was released to the media, pressuring her to surrender. She appeared at a police station in Hanover, where she was interrogated, and after collaboration between Swedish and German police, her extradition was authorized to answer for the case in Sweden. The trial began in August 2008 in a Swedish court, attracting enormous media attention due to the brutality of the crime and the premeditated nature of the attack. During the process, Christine maintained a cold and distant posture, refusing to fully cooperate with authorities. She denied all charges, despite robust evidence against her, and attempted to create alibis that were quickly disproven by the prosecution. Among the evidence presented in court were Christine's travel records, confirming her presence in Arboga on the day of the crime, security camera footage showing her at the railway station, and computer searches related to murder methods and Emma Janstig's life. Additionally, DNA samples and footprints found at the crime scene were associated with her, providing crucial forensic evidence. Emma's testimony, who had survived the attack and recovered from the coma, was a decisive moment in the trial. Despite her initially fragmented memory, Emma managed to identify Christine as her attacker, which strengthened the prosecution's case. Prosecutors argued that Christine acted driven by obsession and jealousy, planning the attack as a form of revenge against Torgny Hellberg and his new family. Christine demonstrated disturbing behavior during the trial, laughing at inappropriate moments and remaining apparently indifferent to descriptions of the crimes. She also groundlessly alleged that evidence had been manipulated and attempted to blame third parties for her actions. However, the court considered the evidence irrefutable. In October 2008, Christine Schürrer was sentenced to life imprisonment for the murder of children Max and Saga and the attempted murder of Emma. Beyond the sentence, the court highlighted the defendant's coldness and lack of remorse as aggravating elements. The decision was widely supported by public opinion, which followed the case with indignation. If you enjoyed this content, please don't forget to subscribe to the channel and leave your comment below. Your participation is essential for us to continue bringing you stories like this one. Also, make sure to hit the notification bell to stay updated on our upcoming videos. Until our next case.